Our movie begins with a quarrel between Woody and Neil, a young man and a girl who live next door to each other and do not get along because of their different tastes in everything. Neil is a romantic, calm, hard-working girl, and Woody is a reckless young man who is not good interested in his studies and always makes Neil angry because of his music and the noise he plays at the highest volume. Neil's dream is to go to Yale University, and she receives a letter with an interview at the university next week. She is happy to achieve her dream, and then she gets dressed and goes to school. Woody is in a horse-drawn carriage, and as soon as he sees her, he speeds up the car, and they drive into a pond in the street, singing and ruining her appearance and hair. However, she still goes to school, looking messed up, and the whole school makes fun of her. Woody continues to harass her at school until they have an educational trip to the museum, and Neil and Woody are there, and the history teacher talks about an ancient statue that was the god of magic. Once upon a time, he had a mirror in his body called the smoke mirror, and one of his abilities was to change his appearance with extreme ease. The students were divided into small groups, and the teacher chose Woody to be with Neil, and they would stand in front of the magic god and quarrel together as usual, and smoke would come out of the statue, and the trip would end, and each one would go home. It was time to sleep, and the smoke would appear again on them, and their souls would be swapped in each other's bodies, meaning that Neil would be in Woody's body, and Neil would be in Woody's body, and as soon as they woke up, they would scream and look at each other out of the window, and they would tell each other that they had to meet immediately. Neil would come down with Woody's personality inside her, and she wouldn't know how to deal with her mother, and she would eat against her will until she ran away and went out of the house. In the second house, Woody, who had Neil and Bella's personalities inside him, would come down, and his family would feed him meat for breakfast, and he would eat against his will so that he could go out of the house and be hoarse. She waits for him to go to school in his car together, and as usual, Neil walks to the school, and as soon as Neil and Woody arrive at the school, she runs to Woody, and they fight together and try to find a solution to what they are in. And Woody starts crying in front of the school, and Neil tries to calm him down because it looks like he is the bad one. Because it is obvious that Woody is the one crying, and they try to continue the day. Maybe the next day, everything will go back to normal again, and they go out together to their class, and Neil ruins the world because she is required to talk about the greatest historical figure. So Neil talks about Jennifer Lopez, because at that time Woody is the one who talks, and Neil keeps talking about Jennifer's achievements until the class ends, and it is break time, and Brianna is Woody's girlfriend, and she goes to him to talk to him. But Woody refuses to talk to him and leaves, and Applehorse, his friend, tells him that they have an important training session today, and he can't miss it and must attend it. Otherwise, the coach might reject him from the team, and it would hurt him to go to training while he doesn't understand anything about this sport and is acting spoiled and doesn't even know how to hold a ball, and he is angry with the coach for what he did, and that the most important match of his life is during this week, and he must work hard because the talent scout will be in this match, and the school day ends and everyone returns home, hoping that the way they will sleep and wake up and the world will be set right, but they remain the same the next day, and they are required to live another day while they are in each other's bodies and pee in school, and they know that there is no solution to their situation. But Nell sees that Woody is wearing very old and classic clothes, and that it is not appropriate for him to dress like that in school. But Woody tells her that he will wear what he wants, and that Woody's body is his freedom, and Nell decides that she will also wear what she wants and act as he likes, and she dresses Neil, who has Woody's spirit inside her, wears very short clothes and does her hair in a strange way. In Beirut, he ends his relationship with his girlfriend Bayan to take revenge. Neil begs her to have a relationship with someone named Nikki as revenge on Woody, but she is unable to continue with Nikki and leaves and runs away. But the next day comes, and Nikki spreads the word throughout the school that he had a relationship with Neil. As soon as Woody hears about it, he starts crying and says that he wished that the first time would be special until he meets Neil, who has Woody's spirit inside him, and asks her how she could do this. But Neil denies that anything happened between her and Nikki. They both go to fight with Nikki and make him admit that nothing happened. They beat him up until they say in front of the students that he didn't even touch Neil. After that, they sit together remembering the day before their transformation, until they remember that they were standing in front of the magic god, and that he might be the reason for what happened. They run to the museum. They keep trying in every way to get back to their normal lives, but they give in to the reality that they can continue in each other's bodies for a long time, and each one decides to help the other. That is, Neil will count Woody in his training and playing football since his body is still strong and can easily beat Nikki. In return, Woody will help Neil study well to pass the Friday interview and succeed in it. Neil starts teaching him everything about football, playing and its methods. At the end of the day, Woody and Neil study the subjects that will be handed over. After that, Neil returns home through Woody's room window, and the next day she returns to him in the same way. They decide together that they will go to the graduation party together if they continue in the same way until the party. The next day, Neil talks to her mother that she has been spending time with Woody, and he turned out to be a good and kind person. But her mother tells her that he is a failure, just as she used to say about him before, and that he is not good at anything except playing, and does not deserve to deal with her beautiful daughter, because he has no ambition, and in the end, he will work with his father and will remain useless his whole life. And it bothers Woody because he hears this talk about himself. But he is in Neil's body, and Neil gets up upset from eating and goes out of the house. And night comes, and Woody is supposed to meet Neil, but he does not find her at her house and keeps walking until he finds her playing soccer alone because of how upset she is. And Woody tries to ease Neil's nervousness, but Neil screams and speaks with masculine confidence about herself, that he will remain a failure indeed, and all he does is cause problems. And Neil returns home and prepares herself for her college interview the next day, and wakes up from sleep, get ready, and goes to Yale University, and the interview begins, but she asks about the poets she likes and does not know how to answer, until she decides to speak frankly about the singers who are present now and who present rap songs that contain their experiences and their life. And she speaks with extreme fluency, to the point that she hears the doctor in front of her rap songs. Wow, Woody, who is in Neil's body, finishes the interview and runs to the match that Neil will play in, while she is in Woody's body, and the team is losing by a large margin because Woody is now from the university interview and is not focused on the match until he sees Neil in front of him, and she tries to reassure him and goes out to sit next to his family and cheers with them, and he starts to improve his playing and helps his team to score the first point and continues playing in the same way that Neil hit him, and Woody is the reason for his team's victory in the last second, and he accepts the talent scout, and they say that he would love to talk to him about his future, and that his future in sports is bright, and he decides that they will talk soon. And Woody looks behind him and finds that Neil is waiting for him, and he reassures himself that she did what she could in the university interview, and he thanks him a lot for helping him or her, because she is Neil in Woody's body. And she says to him, Neil, if she had to choose to be anyone in the world, she would have chosen him, because he is a kind and ambitious person, unlike what she saw. The statue in the museum appears, and smoke comes out of it again. Every soul returns to its body, and they return to normal again. Woody's friends go to celebrate with him, and Niall runs after him because she wants to tell him something, but she finds him standing with his beloved Brianna. She understands that he no longer needs her, so she leaves and returns home, upset. She raises her hands to meet him and makes her mother tell him that she does not want to see him again and will not go with him to the graduation party. Naya has the answer from the university, accepting her. The time for the party comes, and Woody cannot stand standing with his beloved, and he remains standing alone, hoping that Neil will attend the party, and he can see her. But she is sitting at home, and her father tries to convince her that she must go to the party as a cameraman, and he prepares her dress and tells her that Woody deserves a second chance because he loves her, and she listens to her father and starts preparing for the party. And Woody is at the party, and he wins the title of prom king, and Brianna wins the title of prom queen, and he asks them to dance together alone. And Woody is obviously upset because Nell didn't come, and before the dance ends, Nell comes to the party, and she deceives all the attention towards her. And Woody goes to her and tells her that she is the most beautiful one in his opinion, and that he doesn't need a crown as long as he is with her. And he throws his crown, and they leave the party, leaving Brianna behind alone. And he tells Nell that he wishes to spend the rest of his life with her, and that he will stay with her even after she travels to her university. And Nell applies for a gap year so she can spend more time with Woody. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Movie Story for more amazing movie recaps. Let us know in the comments which movie you'd like us to cover next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.